All right, this is Donovan Dreyer here with Julia Neiman and Michelle Shaeffer today. And Michelle is the creator of Lingo Dynamics and the Hookline Dynamic app. She's passionate about helping mission-driven entrepreneurs build successful, profitable businesses that make a positive difference in the world. She's written 42 blog posts in a single day. She's been she's mentored more than 15,000 bloggers, including Julia and I have both learned a lot from Michelle personally. And she's done that through the Ultimate Blog Challenge and the Extreme Traffic Adventure. She's published 1,000 posts on her own blogs, and she's been blogging since 2008. She's made about every blogging mistake possible and shares them, so she's vulnerable, courageous enough to be vulnerable with us today, and she does that so you don't have to. All right, so on a typical day, Michelle's life includes a whole lot of coffee, obsessive blogging, and content creation, coaching fabulous entrepreneurs, working behind the scenes to support her awesome clients with their blogging, marketing, and sneaking in a little bit of sci-fi in there somewhere. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
We really appreciate you being here for us.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump in and talk about business and getting started.
Awesome. So I know some people out there are going, what is a blog? And why do I need to know this? And how is this going to help me going forward?
So that's a great question. And you guys probably have some familiarity with the idea of a blog. It's just, basically a journal online. Everything's organized by date. It's really, though, an easy way to publish your content and share it with people. It's one of the tools that you can use without having to hire a whole team to build you a website or whatever else to take what you've got and share it with people in a format that you own. And that's the biggest difference when it comes to building your own blog versus all of the sites you're probably already on, like Tumblr and Snapchat and all of those. You don't own your content there. If YouTube or Facebook decides to change their settings or change their monetization or change their policies or go out of business overnight, you lose all of your content, all of your connections there, which, Julia, I don't know if your audience is old enough to remember, but back a few years ago, everybody was at MySpace. That was the big thing, was MySpace. And what happened? Facebook came in and took over the world. So don't think that just because they're big today, they're always going to be the thing. You want your content, especially related to your business and your audience, your subscribers, somewhere that you are in control so that you're not depending on some big corporation to help you get your message out there and to take care of you, because we all know you want to be in charge of that for yourself and in control of that for yourself. So that's where blogging comes in when you look at building that piece of your business online, so that you've got traffic coming to you and you're in control of how you get your message out there and of getting those subscribers and clients in your business.
That's an important point, because even on Facebook that looks really prolific, unless you follow the numbers, you don't realize that not that many people are seeing your posts. You may have 30,000 people following you, but maybe only, 103 of them see your post, because Facebook controls that and not you.
Right.
And then they put these ads up there, oh, boost your post so more people see it. You just have to give us money and we'll let more people look at it.
Well, and you have to remember too, when you're really active on social media sites and you've got a business, when people see your business content, what are they seeing right beside it? Is your competitors' ads.
That's
but when
right.
you bring them to your website, you can control what they see and they're just seeing you. So it's really a different environment for you to be able to bring people into that you're in charge of, and you can control what happens to that. You don't have to worry about your competitors' ads being all over it or having to pay for your friends to see your content.
Exactly. So I know there's, two things you could do with the blog could actually be your business. Mm-hmm. And so we would like you to talk about how do you turn the blog into your business,
Sure.
or how do you take your message and make the blog be your main platform? And also, if you have another business, how do you use the blog to boost that business?
Okay, absolutely. So there are lots of different models of using a blog to create income for yourself. If you already have a business and you know your products, you know your services, then where a blog fits in is getting the right clients, getting people coming to you, seeing your content, and then wanting to hire you. So if you're a service provider, if you design websites or you manage social media for people, you can get clients coming to you through your blog. You write about the questions that they've got. You share your answers. You share your systems that you use, and they go, this person knows what they're talking about. And then they're that much closer to hiring you for a project. And the cool thing is, with blogging and with the internet, it doesn't matter what age or color or sex or anything else the person on the other side of the computer screen is, right? Because our clients can't see that. They see the information we put out there, and they can see your expertise. And instead of looking at your age, they're going to look at what you share and go, this person does know what they're doing, they can help me, and want to become a client. So that's one of the advantages of using a blog to get clients in that way. If you don't have your own products or services yet, and you're trying to figure out, what do I do to make money online? How do I start my business? Blogging is great because you can actually build an entire business around it. Once you figure out who you want to write your blog for, so what's your topic, who's going to be your readers, and then figure out what are the problems or frustrations they have and how you can solve them. That's how you make money with a blog, because you can promote things as an affiliate. You can get ads, sell ad space on your site. There's lots of different ways that you can monetize what you're doing. And the content that you can create can become products that you sell. So you can build a membership site or subscription site around it and scale it from there. So blogging can be applied a lot of different ways to bring in money in your business, either for an existing one or to start a new one. I know a lot of people who they really love a specific topic, so they started a blog on it. They got their friends reading, commenting, sharing their blog posts, and then they were able to go get sponsorships with, video game companies or different things that go along with what they're writing about. And they make money then when they refer people to it. It's kind of like when you put your videos out on YouTube and YouTube pays you. Well, imagine if you were in charge of how much advertisers paid you. And I promise you, when you don't have somebody else taking a big cut of that income, you can much more quickly scale to a sustainable amount that you make per month on your content, because you don't have somebody else coming in and giving 2 cents out of a dollar on what they're making on the ads on your content. So you can monetize your own content that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. You talk about, I'm sorry, Donovan, you talk about leveraging, that blog into revenue creation. And, there have been some things you mentioned, also creating a product. So I have to tell this story because I learned this from you. I did one of your blog challenges, and the idea was to post a blog every single day. And you didn't have to, but that was the idea, right? And so I made the commitment, I'm going to do that. And people kept saying to me during that whole time, you should write a book, you should write a book. I go, I don't want to write a book. I'm having enough hard time, writing a blog article every day. But halfway into the challenge, I realized that I had picked topics that were related to my business. And if I put them together, I was writing a book.
Yeah.
So I wrote 2 books by participating in your blog challenges.
And that's awesome, because then you can take that content and you can turn it into a book. You can put it on Kindle. You can publish it on Amazon as either a digital book or a printed book. And especially if you're younger in business, that's one of the things that will build your credibility fast, is having something out there like that where you can say, I'm a published author. Here's my book on Amazon. Check it out.
Exactly.
So that is a great strategy when it comes to blogging. And blogging doesn't have to be something that's like this whole other thing you have to do. If you're already writing posts on Facebook, you're already writing on Tumblr, you're already putting videos on YouTube, all of that can become your blog content. You're just sharing it both places. And as you do that and get content on your blog in archives, you'll start getting traffic from search engines, from people sharing, and they can find it there. So you don't have to think of it as like this extra thing you've got to add to your list, but just as, this is my home base. This is where everything I create comes back here, so it's mine.
Yeah. So Donovan, I'm sorry. I know you wanted to say something, and I just jumped right in on you.
That's all right. Yeah. Michelle, I think one of the things you do, I watch you interview other people, and I know one of the questions you really love is, what do you wish somebody told you? And if you could go back and they had told you earlier, what's one thing you wish somebody told you sooner?
You're right. I do always ask that, and I don't think anyone's ever asked me that.
Aha!
I'm going to have to think about that one for a minute. So I guess it depends on how far back you want to go. I guess my first official business with like a business license, and we had discussed this the other day, was when I was about 16, 17, I started teaching piano lessons. And that was great because, at that age, I made way more teaching piano lessons an hour than I would have, as a checkout girl at the grocery store or some of the other jobs available to me. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that, but it took me a while, partially because of the time period that it was, to figure out that there was actually a way to create my own business online. And I think the thing that I wish I had really realized sooner was just how many options I had, and that as long as I stayed determined to figure it out, you can always find the answer you need. We've got Google at our fingertips, YouTube at our fingertips, and so many people around that will support you if you just ask. So I think that's one thing that I struggled a lot in my business when I started, because I didn't know who to reach out to or how to ask for help. And that would have made a big difference. And also realizing, so I guess that would be number one, is just knowing that the help is there if you just reach out and ask for it. And I think the other thing would be realizing there were more ways to monetize and make money than I realized, because I came in and I thought, okay, so what can I do for an hour that somebody will pay me X amount for? And that was very much, for years, the approach that I took was, okay, I've got this many hours. How can I get more clients? How can I provide services? Instead of realizing that with things like a blog, I can monetize all sorts of ways and have money coming in even when I'm not actively spending an hour providing a service, but that I could create books, that I could create courses, that I could get advertisers or sponsors and have these different ways to bring money in my business.
Wow, that's really good. I'm just super curious now about, like, if I'm in that mindset of this dollars worked for pay idea, and I think we're still kind of, even in this coming generation, kind of focused there. Yeah. What are a couple of these ideas? So you say there's like lots of ideas of ways to monetize a blog. If I'm 18, 19, 20 years old and I'm like, well, this sounds really interesting. How else can I make money besides charging more for like piano lessons versus checkout person?
Right. So that is the way we're programmed to think, is, okay, I'm going to get through high school and I'm going to go find a job, or I'm going to go to college and then I'm going to get my degree and get a job and I'm going to make X number of dollars per hour or X number of dollars a year for my time. And this is what I'm focused on. Right. And we're very much trained to look at that approach. And I think the biggest mindset shift for me was, instead of looking at my value based on time, looking at your value as simply being a bridge between a problem and a solution. If you know a group of people who have a problem and you know what the solution is, your value is in connecting them to the solution, whether that's a solution you can provide or just someone that you can point them in the direction of. As long as you can connect those two things, that's where the value actually is. And the other piece that I think was a big mindset shift for me was realizing that, if we get on a phone call and I solve your problem in 5 minutes, well, that doesn't mean it's worth 5 minutes of hourly paid time, because that's taken me, 30 years to be able to solve your problem in 5 minutes. All of the stuff I've learned, all of the times I failed at it and retried it, so it's your experience is worth more than just the time that you put into something. And when it comes to figuring out how to change what you're doing so that you can leverage your time and make more hourly, there's, like I said, lots of different ways to do it, but you just got to get creative with it and figure out, who can you connect with a solution. So one of the fastest ways to have some fun monetizing a blog is to think about your audience and figure out, what are they already buying? What are they already interested in? And how can you promote that as an affiliate? Because you've got big companies that, they can go blow millions of dollars on a Super Bowl ad and get in front of lots of people. Or you've got companies that say, hey, I want to get my product or my service out there. I will pay you 50% if you get someone to purchase this. So by promoting their products and their services, you can write a blog post review of something and have people buying that through your link and be making money for years based on one review you wrote. Based on one blog post, you can continue to have income coming in from that. And if you go YouTube or Google passive income streams, you'll find all sorts of ideas on how you can build that for yourself. We're, again, programmed to think of passive income as, well, let me go invest in rental properties or real estate, or put it in a stock or a mutual fund or wherever else. But that's if you've got money to invest. When you're 18, 19, 20, you probably don't have money to invest yet, but you've got your time. And so if you invest your time in things like that, you can create the same types of passive income for yourself, that you do the work once and then it continues paying you. Writing books is like that. Once it's published on Amazon, you can continue getting sales in. Blogging, you can continue getting sales for reviews you wrote or for products that you promoted. And there's a lot of ways that you can create things that you can continue selling. You can create courses, workshops, you can write PDF guides, checklists. One fun way to figure out what might work for you is to just go look around and explore a little bit. See what other people who have your audience are selling. Because if you see it out there all over the place, then there's probably demand for it, and you can create something like that and sell it as well. So just get a little bit creative and think, if I were the person looking for this solution, what would I want? And see if you can find somebody who's already made it and become an affiliate for them and sell it as an affiliate, because then you don't have to invest your time in creating a product. All you've got to do is find something to promote. And there's lots of sites you can look at. Amazon has an affiliate program, JVZoo, ClickBank, Share a Sale. There's lots of ways to find things to promote as an affiliate that you can write about on your blog and get income coming in from.
That's great advice. That's amazing. And, there have been some blogs that have gone viral. Like the one that comes to mind is that Julia and Julia, where this young woman, Julia, wrote about Julia Child. She made every recipe that she ever cooked.
Yeah.
And it just went viral, and people picked up on it. And the next thing you know, she had a movie.
Yeah, there's been some really interesting stories come out of people, committing to, I'm going to blog every day for a year, or I'm going to blog about this topic and build a community around it. And you can see some really cool things happen when you put your content and you put your knowledge and what you've got out there and share it with people that way.
Yeah, and it's funny, cooking, I guess, is a really good topic, because there was another woman, the Pioneer Woman, who did a blog about, she lived in the West, and doing a blog about ranch food and doing cooking, and how do you serve these people that are out slaving on a ranch all day long. And she now has a TV show, The Pioneer Woman, on the Food Network. So anything is possible.
It is, and that's really what a blog does for you, is it builds your platform. It gives you some place to, it is kind of your home base, but it gives you some place to really let people know who you are, what you're about, and share that. And it gives you that brand, that identity, in a way that Facebook or YouTube doesn't do to the same degree, because again, you don't own your content, you don't own your subscribers there. If they decide to go on a ban spree, you can end up in trouble on some of those if you're selling and promoting things. And so having that blog that you can build and that you can send people to. So, some of those people that have those big success stories were randomly stumbled upon. Some of them were not. Some of them were very strategic about building a blog that they then went out and contacted the media, or they had a friend get them in front of the media. I don't know if you're familiar with Ryan Holiday and some of the books he's written. Some of your audience maybe. Some of the publicity stunts that big companies pull that you guys know when you see it, that was a publicity stunt. Well, that's because sometimes it works. And you can do the same thing when you've got a blog. If you've got a best friend that happens to have the email address of a reporter or of somebody that would be interested in your topic, you can do some fun things to get it out there and to make cool things happen for yourself as you're building a business and building an income with it.
That's great. One of the things that you do, I think, better than anybody I've ever known is describe the different kinds of blog posts that there are. You built a whole challenge around using these different kinds of blog posts and the strategies. Could you talk a little about strategic use and the different kinds of posts and the strategic use of them?
Sure. Okay, so there are a lot of different types of content you can create on your blog. And one of the things that is both valuable to you as you're getting started in business and will really help you grow is looking at how to get influencers to notice you, to help you create content, and to get you out there more. And that's something that, when we did the Extreme Traffic Adventure, you guys know some of the strategies were focused on who can you interview, who can you ask a few questions of, how can you collaborate on content with someone else. Because when you reach out to people who are well known and you ask them a few questions, you get them to say yes to an interview, and you publish it on your blog, then that name becomes associated with you and what you're doing. in a way that helps build your credibility, but also drives traffic. So some of the things that are really great if you're getting started are things like interview series. And you just keep asking people until you get yeses, because you always get some no's when you're in business. You got to get used to it. But you get yeses when you keep asking, and you can create content with people where you're learning in the process. So if you're brand new to this idea, one thing that you can do to get started is sit down and think, whatever your topic is, whether it's, what are some good topic examples for this crowd?
Well, I would say, the very first topic for somebody maybe 18 to 24 is something like, this is what I want to do with my life. Here's my passion, like a passion blog.
All right, got it. So I don't want to be like a stereotypical mom and assume everybody is into video games or something here. So whatever that passion is for you, then think about who are 10 people related to that who you would just love to be able to interview and ask them questions. And then think, what are the 10 questions you would ask them that would help you figure out what to do next in your life? So if you're looking at, you want to build a business around whatever that passion is, who are the people you're following? Who is it that's got your attention that you look up to them? You want to learn from them, because created an interview series where you've got your 10 questions you ask of all these different people in your industry who are a little further ahead of you will teach you so much about how to get to where they're at. And you'll find that most people, if you approach them the right way, are really open to being interviewed and to sharing with you how they got to where they're at. And
what's the right way and what's the wrong way? So sometimes you get a no just because people are busy.
Yes.
Let's say, obviously you said yes to this series. That's literally what we're doing now. And then you might say no to somebody if you're approached wrong. So tell us about being approached the wrong way.
Okay, so when you're looking at interviewing people, and your audience actually has an advantage. Because when somebody young like that comes and is enthusiastic about it, it's like, I love what you're doing. I've been following you since I was, 14. I would love a few minutes for an interview. You're going to get a different response. So one thing is just being enthusiastic about it. Share with the person why you're following them, what you value and what they've done. One of the best ways to actually get somebody's attention is to find something they've taught and apply it in a way that you can go to them and say, hey, thanks for teaching X. I tried that. It worked really, really well for me. Here's what happened when I did it. Because that'll always get their attention. They go, oh, here's somebody who actually listened and got a result. And they'll want to have a conversation with you that way. So looking at that. But when you approach anybody, sometimes you get a no because they are busy or they're distracted or their email inbox is exploding. So having, if you can, somebody introduce you personally to them is a good way to go. So if you can put yourself physically in the same room with them, that's the best option. If not, figure out who do you know that knows them. So if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, go see if you have friends or connections in common and ask somebody to give you a personal introduction. Or figure out who's on their team. So who's their right-hand person? Who's their support staff? Can you get an introduction to them and make that connection that way? Figure out who can introduce you to the person in a way that you've got that, because that puts you a little closer to a yes as well. And then just be really, really persistent, because if the person keeps seeing you show up, eventually they're going to probably respond. So it's okay to be persistent with it, always from the perspective of though, here's why I'm interested in interviewing you. Here's what I really value about what you're doing in the world. Here's why it worked for me. And giving that piece of it will get a different response than just, hey, I want to interview you so I can make millions of dollars. Generally, that's not going to get their attention quite as much because they're inundated, right, with the requests for things like that. So if you can come in with a story of how what they did personally helped you, that's a way to get their attention a lot easier. And one thing that I've found is that certain personalities who are, a little harder to get in touch with, they may not be running their own Facebook page, but they may be running their own Twitter account. And we see this even with our president right now. We know he is running his own Twitter account, and he actually responds to people once in a while who tag him in a tweet. If it works to reach the president, it can probably work to reach the influencers you'd like to interview as well. So consider what channels are they actually active on where you can get their attention. And it may require sending something that's, very public. Hey, here's my case study of I did this and it worked for me. So one strategy that can work is to write a blog post about the person and share exactly why what they taught made a difference for you, how it helped improve your life or made you more money or whatever the result was, and then share that on social media specifically with them. Tag them in it so that people start talking about it and they see it, because sometimes that'll work and they'll actually reach out to you that way, and you can get their attention. So look and see, because there's a little bit of build up and research you got to do sometimes if you want to get a bigger name to notice you, but you can do it by watching where it seems like it's actually them active. It may be Facebook, it may be Twitter, it may be somewhere else. It may be that they're writing for their blog and you can see they're actually engaging in the comments. There are some people who actually read and respond to their comments on their blog, even though they've got a lot of them. And if so, you can be the person in there every single time they hit publish, you go comment on that blog post and you write a good comment, not just, hey, great post, but actually say, you know what, this is the part that was helpful for me. This is the action I'm going to do next. And by the way, I just shared this with my friends because I know they'll find it helpful too. If you follow that pattern consistently, they'll start to notice you showing up. And then when you email them and say, hey, if you've got time, I would love to interview you sometime. Whatever works for you. We can do a written interview. We can do an audio interview. We can do a video interview. Be flexible with that. Because some people may have time for email back and forth, but not video. Other people may hate email and be happy to get on video, but if you're creative and you just keep at it, be tenacious, you can get people to say yes to being part of a series like that on your blog and create some really great content that both gets you traffic and helps you learn what you need to learn to get to the next level.
Yeah, so one of the lessons that I want to emphasize that I hear you saying is it's about being visible to them. Make yourself visible, and don't think about selling anything or promoting yourself. Be visible to them. Yeah. You know, I've done that in the past. You get Twitter followers. It's really easy. You go on their site, you say complimentary things about them. Then after a while, they recognize your name. Oh, this person is always saying nice things about me. And you follow them on whatever other social media they're on. And then you ask them, you know, well, I really, you know, then they see that you're following them and you say, well, I love what you teach and I've learned a lot from you, and how can I support you? And they're
Absolutely.
like you have a positive, you're not asking them for anything. How can I support you? And then maybe that support would be, well, maybe I can interview you and introduce you to my community. So it's kind of a win-win situation.
Absolutely. You know, one of the other tactics that goes along with what you're saying, Julia, is if you watch on social media, especially for any time someone asks a question. So I used to create lists on Twitter, I still do this actually, of influencers that I'd like to have a relationship with. And when I log into Twitter, I go to that Twitter list and all I'm looking for is a question mark. I scan down through it, ooh, question. And then if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to find an answer that I can reply with something helpful. Because if you focus on being helpful in some way to them, being of service to them, and on sharing why you really look up to them, what they've done that's helpful for you, like you said, by the time you ask them and have that conversation, they see you differently. You're not just somebody, you know, because they do have people all the time bothering them, and
That's right.
they see you differently that way. And you know, if it's somebody who's on your list of those top 10 people, this should be easy to do because you genuinely do appreciate what they're doing in the world. So yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, they're more willing to support you.
Yeah.
If you're supporting them, and even just coming out there and saying, oh, I learned so much from you, and talking about what you suggested before, like, oh, I learned this from you and I applied it and here's how.
Right.
That's really valuable to them. They can't pay for that kind of feedback. So that's really valuable, and if you do that for them, they're going to be more likely to say yes to you.
Absolutely. And you know, for your audience, since a lot of them are very active on social media already, one strategy that can work really well is to put your story out there about them on social media. So on Facebook, go live on Facebook and say, hey, today I want to talk about person X. Here's what I learned from them. Here's why it was helpful. Take that video, get it on YouTube, get it everywhere else, and make sure they see it and their audience sees it. Because again, that's the kind of thing that is really valuable. You know, when you're building a business and somebody gives you feedback like that, you're going to want to use that everywhere. So you may find yourself not just getting a yes for an interview, but ending up featured in somebody's next campaign, their next video series, the next thing they do where they want to share case studies and testimonials. So it's a really good way to build that relationship with influencers.
Yeah, that's great. So talk about more different kinds of blogs there are. Like, I know you use infographics. I mean, I learned all these things from you and I implemented them on my blog. So when you go to my blog, it's not just me chatting. You know, there's infographics, there's other people's videos, other people's guest blogging. So talk about more options that we have for
Sure.
blogging
So,
that actually make it easier to keep going. You're not responsible every day for the
right.
content.
You don't have to write a 5,000 word blog post every single day, unless that's just how you want to spend your time. Then feel free. But you don't have to do that to grow a blog. The main thing you need to do, again, it's kind of like monetizing, is just look for what's a problem and what's a solution. So create that list of, if whatever you're passionate about, whatever your topic is, stop and think, okay, what are the challenges that happen around this? What are the frustrations? What are the questions? And then how can you answer those in your blog post? And you can do things like, hop on Pinterest, find a cool infographic and share it. There's infographics about everything under the sun, and they're designed to be shared, so there's not copyright issues there. Go to YouTube, look for videos. If they have an embed code, it means the person is giving you license to share it. So again, you're allowed to take that, put it on your blog, add some of your thoughts to it. You could find all sorts of people who are open to writing guest posts for you. If you Google guest blog posts, you'll find sites that are full of people who are looking for opportunities to write, and you can have them write content for your blog, and they do it just in exchange for a link. You don't even have to pay them. So there's ways that you can get a lot of content for your blog without creating it yourself. And as long as you stay focused on, this is my community, this is who I'm writing for, and ask yourself, will this be valuable for them? If it is, then you're on the right track with your content. And you just want to stay focused on that piece of it of, is this helpful to my community, to my audience, and is it building my business? So yeah, there's the other thing that you can do is there's blog post templates. If you Google blog post templates, bunches of them will come up that you can find that give you ideas for just like fill in the blank. There's lots of simple ways to do it. One other quick strategy that works well is to have series where you've got a theme. So you can do like a Q&A Tuesday kind of thing where every single Tuesday you're going to write a blog post that's just an answer to a question somebody's asked you about your topic in the past week. And if you don't have a question, you can either create a question that they should be asking you or go to Facebook, see what people are talking about. Go to Quora, see what people are talking about, and answer those questions in your blog post. And that's a good way to stay consistent with it and have something fun to write about where somebody actually is interested in the answer and in what you say. So it's not just going to be your cat and your mom reading your blog. Other people are going to come read it when you answer those questions for them.
That'd be really cool to have a cat that could read a blog. I think that'd be like, that'd probably go viral. But,
I've had so many people tell me they feel like the only ones reading their blog are like their pets.
Yeah.
Funny.
Michelle, tell us about VBRAM. So you got this great acronym, and then when you go through it, I'd like, our B for our audience is really about this world of ours. They tell you to be ready for the real world, and kids aren't ready for the real world these days. But I think they're really not to blame. The world's changing so fast. I think part of it is the real world needs to change to be more attractive to them. Mm. So could you go through your acronym and how that could actually be a source for blog posts too? And then maybe key in on, why our kids out there aren't to blame that are in this, younger generation, maybe our younger millennials, older founders generation kids.
Yeah, so if that's one thing that you're sitting here and one of the things that caught your attention about what Donovan and Julia are doing is that they told you, hey, it's not your fault. You've been told to do this. You've been told this is the process. You're a robot. You go through school, then you go to college, then you pick one career and you're supposed to do that the rest of your life. And then when you're the correct age, you're finally allowed to retire and attempt to make it on Social Security and retirement, which is easier said than done. For those of us a little further ahead of you, you end up burnt out and frustrated and not really doing what you're here to do sometimes when you follow that path. So it's something that if what got your attention was Julia and Donovan validating the idea that there are other options and it's not your fault that you aren't thinking of them yet because you were trained a certain way through years of schooling, that's part of what Donovan mentioned, which is the word is VBRAM. It's an acronym. And I don't know, can I screen share on here?
I think.
If so, I can actually show you some slides and some examples of this real quick.
Let's see.
Let me see if
Manage
it'll
our
let me do
participants.
that. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. I think it'll let me do that. Can you guys see my screen?
There it is.
Oh, all right. So this is one line is what I call it that can transform your business, your blog, whatever you're doing online. Because the thing is that for all of us, there are people out there who actually have the same passions we do, who want to hear what we have to share, who want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And if you share it the right way, it will get their attention and you can build a community around it. So I'm going to give you one line that will grab people's attention here. And that is VABROM. Anyone will notice and follow you if you help them do these things. So here's the first one. V stands for vision. Help them manifest their vision. What does that mean? It means, what do they really want out of life? What do you really want out of life? Figure that out. And as long as what you do is aligned with that, people will pay attention to what you have to say. The second one is anxieties. So when you think about what your anxieties are, think about what your audience, your community's anxieties are and how you can help solve them. So one of the things that Julia and Donovan do here is you may be anxious about the idea of, how do I start my own business? Can I actually make this work? What do I do? And they're helping to relieve that by showing you, okay, you've got options, you've got choices that you can make, and here are some people who've made that choice. Here's where they are 5 or 10 years down the road. They did make it work. Because when we see other people who have done something, it inspires us, right? Because we're like, well, okay, if that person can do that, pretty sure I can do that too. And it's one reason I share things in my bio like that. I've made lots of mistakes with blogging because seriously, if I can make it work, I know anybody else who's determined to can make it work as well. B stands for blame. That's the one you mentioned, helping people remove their blame. So lots of things that we feel blame for, right? I mean, we can make a list of things that we feel guilty about, that we maybe didn't make the right choice, or that we got confused about, or that we're not sure what to do next. And sometimes whatever situation we're in, we really feel like it's our own fault. Most of the time, it's not just that. There's lots of factors that play into where we end up. And if you can look at where your audience is and what they're feeling bad about, what they're feeling like is their fault, and remove that blame a little bit and say, you know what? Yeah, this is where you're at right now, but here's how you got there. It's actually not your fault because this is the way you were programmed, or nobody told you you had a different choice. You can't do better if you don't know you can do better, right? So thinking about what things people feel blame for and helping them realize that they can make a different choice right now and have a different outcome will get people's attention. Reality is another one. How many of us cannot resist clicking on all of the crazy things that pop up on Facebook, on the side of blog posts that are like, things about movie stars, or, really strange animals, or cat videos, or wedding dance videos, because we want to escape reality for a moment. So figuring out how you can work that into what you do, which you guys are up with what all the current popular things are, right? Pop culture. How can you write a blog post that ties your passions and what you do to Wonder Woman or The Walking Dead or whatever those things are that your audience is paying attention to and seeing? Figure out how to take the movie stars and the reality TV stars and the TV shows and the things that your audience is seeing every day, and work it in to your blog post, to what you write about, because it will catch people's attention when there's that brief moment of escape from everyday reality. And it's kind of the Hollywood effect of, okay, how is that like this? And they're curious then. So if you can work in those elements that help them escape reality. The next one is opinions. And I'll give you a really good example of this one in a minute. But if you validate people's opinions, you will get their attention and they will become loyal fans. So when you think about what are the opinions that your community already has, and this can be, anything under the sun that they've got opinions about, because we all have plenty of opinions, right? You ask 5 people their 2 cents on any topic, you'll get 10 different answers, because we have lots of thoughts and opinions. And when you validate someone's opinions and say, hey, I agree with you, this is why this is that way, people trust you because you see the world the same way they do. And then they're more open to you sharing what comes next. So sometimes it's about validating an opinion while giving a different perspective and showing people that maybe there's more to the story than a snap judgment. But thinking about what those opinions are that you can validate, and this is something that we see politicians sometimes do really, really well. The ones who win are the ones who manage to validate people's opinions, get them excited and trusting them because, well, he thinks like I do, so I'm going to vote for this person. And sometimes it takes just figuring out one opinion to connect with a big group of people on, and you have that whole group voting for you based on one opinion. And so think about how you can use that in your own business, in your own blogging. The last one is helping people defeat their monsters. Now, for your audience, monsters could be all sorts of different things. For my audience, because I teach people how to build businesses online, how to escape the cubicle. A cubicle is a monster to a lot of my audience. They don't want to have to get up at 6 a.m., fight through rush hour traffic just to be trapped in a tiny little box all day, leave, fight through rush hour traffic again, get home exhausted just in enough time to go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. That's a monster. For a lot of my audience, is that cubicle symbolizes everything that's wrong that they don't want. And so figure out what those monsters are for your audience. What are they afraid of? What do they not want to deal with? And monsters are more, when you look at anxiety versus monsters, anxieties are the things you're worried about, those intangible fears, versus monsters are the things that you could actually pick up and hold. Like a cubicle, I can touch, I can feel it. It could be hiding under my bed. If it can hide under your bed or in your closet, then it's a monster that you can help your audience to defeat. So that's the line real quick. Is it okay if I give a few examples of it?
You're muted, Donovan. You want to say something?
Okay, thumbs up. Okay.
I said, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and share some examples. This is really good. Okay. I really like this powerful acronym, and it's so helpful because you've keyed in on the things that actually work. If you look at people who build campaigns, whether it's a political campaign or a marketing or advertising campaign, they key on it, and maybe just one of these too. Like the opinions one really stuck out as one that's powerful. Like if you really validate someone and you've nailed it, you'd rather have one than this word scatter that has like all of the words, the tiny, tiny, tiny font. You want one thing to really pop, right? That you're known for.
Yeah, and one of the things that does work well is being willing to take a strong position on something and say, this is what I think. This is, who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I'm passionate about, because you'll attract a crowd of people who agree with you on that and who are in alignment with what you want to do. So absolutely. Let's do a couple quick examples of this here. Oops. All right. So this is, and think of this not just as a headline on a blog post, but this is things that you want to apply no matter where you're writing or speaking or anywhere that people are listening to you. That first thing they hear from you needs to be something that grabs their attention. So if it's Facebook, you apply these same principles on Facebook. If it's Twitter, if it's YouTube, wherever it's at, this is how you get their attention. So here's an example from ProBlogger. This headline is How to Quit Your Job, Move to Paradise, and Get Paid to Change the World. Which one does this play into? Vision, anxieties, blame, reality, opinions, or monsters? It's about vision. For a lot of people who are, maybe a few years ahead of most of you watching, they want to quit their job. So they haven't, they got trapped in that system. They weren't starting their own business yet at 18 or 19. And now they want to quit their job. They want to move to a beach somewhere, and they want to get paid to do what they care about in the world. So let's play into what their vision is. Here's another one. Which one do you think this plays to? 10 reasons men shouldn't be helping their wives with the housework. How many of your moms would click that headline? Most of them, because that actually disagrees with most of our opinions. That's one that really gets your attention because that's a strong statement. It is based on opinion, right? Right? That's why your hangovers get worse as you get older. What is that one about? That one is about blame, about removing your blame. This article explains as your body ages, it processes things differently, and it changes your reaction to certain things. Here's another one. The safest seat on a plane, according to studies of crash data. Which one is that? That one is anxieties. We get a little nervous before we fly, right? We want to know where on this plane is the safest place for me to sit. And they took out crash data and figured out which seat on the plane is the safest. So people who are anxious about flying are going to be interested in that particular article. So you can imagine how these could be really, really boring headlines. I mean, you know, NTSB releases new plane safety data. Who's going to click that? Right. So think about how you can make your topics, what you write about, what you share, more attention grabbing to people. Here's another one. This is why successful people are douchebags. Some people have this opinion because they've met a few successful people who are. We've also met lots of unsuccessful people who are. But what does that play to? That's another one that plays to opinions. So things like that will grab your attention. You'll click through, you'll read it. It will grab your audience's attention. And you know, they've tested these principles over and over again, and they work. These are the things that actually motivate people to be interested in what you're doing and what you're saying. So if you can run what you're doing through these filters, it can help you to really figure out what's going to get people's attention, because it doesn't do you any good to put tons of content out there if nobody's reading it, if nobody's noticing it. That's not how you want your blog or your social media to work. You want people to notice you and to be curious what it is that you're doing. And is it okay if I show them a tool that makes it easier?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to go over here to a free tool, and Julia, we were talking about this before we hopped on today. This is called hooklinedynamic.com. You can find it free, but this is what I want to actually show you, is this little Get Ideas button right here. If you click here, tell it what you want to write, it's going to ask you questions that walk you through how to come up with viral ideas for content. And this thing is powered by templates that we took from the most viral blog posts and news sites and headlines out there to help people create things that really grab attention with these principles. So if you're not sure how to start applying them, this will give you dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas of what your audience will be interested in. So you just fill in the blanks as you go, click a little button, and it'll give you how to apply these concepts and make it work for your topic and for your audience. And again, you can find that free at hooklinedynamic.com. All right. So I'm going to turn off screen share here if I can find the right button.
I might be
there we go. I just thought that one might be a little easier to explain with some visuals.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thanks for just hopping on, grabbing the reins and rolling with it. That was good.
That is really one of the key things that you have to learn, though. When you decide that you're going to go into business for yourself, you're going to build your own thing, it's important that you have a product or a service that delivers on your promise, that's valuable to people, or that you figure out what you're going to promote and share as an affiliate that's valuable to people. But really, the key skill you have to learn to make that work so people see the products or services that you're sharing is how to get attention. And you've got to figure out what are those things that will make people stop and look at what you're doing. And this is how you do that, is learning to apply principles like this of vision, anxieties, blame, escaping reality, validating opinions, and defeating monsters. And when you do that, then you get enough people noticing what you're doing to be able to build the business with the products or services that you have for sale.
That's great. I have one last question about the look of your blog.
Okay.
So I noticed that some people have really nice graphics with each article. And other people just put the article up there with no graphics. So do you have an opinion on which one of those is best?
It depends on your audience, but for most people, including an image is going to be pretty important for your audience, especially because you guys are well versed in social media. You're probably already thinking, when I share something, I want there to be an image with it, right? When it comes up on Facebook, that image is what grabs your attention. When it's on Twitter, it's the image card that grabs attention. When people want to share it on Pinterest or somewhere else, you want to have an image in there for them. So unless your audience is, extremely analytical, maybe PhD in literature, or X-ray technicians, maybe, I don't know. There might be some audiences that aren't as visual, but most people are very visual, and an image will grab their attention, and it also gives them something to share so that other people get their attention grabbed and clicked through, right? Because it's a combination of writing that attention grabbing headline and having that image that corresponds to it. So I actually encourage people to have fun with the images that they use on their blog posts. Think about that image and go, if I saw this on Facebook, would I click it? And one way to figure out what works is go look at some of the clickbaity sites that we all know. We click on the pictures and then we think, why did I just click this and waste 10 minutes of my life reading this article that doesn't even match the picture? Don't do that to your audience. It should match, but figure out, if I saw this photo or this image, would I click through and check it out? If the answer is yes, then that's a good photo to use. And do make sure, and I know this is something that sometimes we forget, that not everything on the internet is free to use. You need to be careful that you're respecting other people's copyrights. So go to sites that offer Creative Commons licensed photos like Pexels or Pixabay and search there for the images that you use, or license them from stock photo sites, but don't just go use any image you find that can end you in some hot water from time to time. So there's lots of places though that you can find some really cool images, and I definitely recommend including those. You can use Canva to create your own, add your logo, add your blog URL to it, so when people pin, they see that and they come check you out. But definitely, yes, great question. Images are important to include in your blog posts.
Yeah.
So Michelle, I just wanted to, you might have another question too, Julia, but before we close out, I was just wondering if there's like one golden takeaway that you want, and maybe it's one more thing that you wish you would have known when you're younger. I love that question. So we'll give you another chance to take a stab at taking some of your own medicine as an interviewee.
Good question. Let's see, what's one more thing that I wish I had known? Just that it's possible, I think. Because I remember a lot of moments that I got discouraged because something I tried didn't work the first time, or, you don't quite hit on the right combination right away for certain things. And it's easy to get discouraged and think, well, maybe this won't work for me, or maybe I should just go get a job at McDonald's and, take that hourly paycheck kind of thing. But just knowing that it really is possible. There are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there who are building businesses from a few $100s a month to 7 and 8 figures from home around what they enjoy doing and the change they want to see in the world. And so I think now we have a lot more examples of that than we did, in like 2000 when I started my business online. And that's something that is really inspiring to see. So I would say, really connecting with that, have your examples of those people around you. So whether it's, cutting out the picture from the magazine or printing it off the internet and putting it up on your mirror or your bulletin board of those people who inspire you and who remind you that it's possible. I wish I had done that sooner and figured out, kind of how to get through those tough moments. And I think another one, so I'll give you two that I wish I had done sooner. And I think, Julia, you may be familiar with this. There's always going to be ups and downs. When you start your own business, there's moments that are like, I'm on top of the world, especially the first time you start to get bigger sales in your business. When you get a $1,000 payment or a $5,000 payment, it's like, this is more than I used to make in a month. Or even the first time you get a $10 commission payment through PayPal is exciting, right? Those are really great moments. But then you also have the days where you work your butt off and you don't have payments coming that day. And you think, okay, is this really worth it? And there's a couple of ways to keep yourself motivated through that. One is always remembering your why. Why are you passionate about it? Why does it matter to you? And the other is remembering why it matters to other people. So one of the things that I wish I had done sooner was to start to have more conversations with people about why it really matters what you do, and share that more and collect feedback from people. And save that feedback somewhere that on those days where you're discouraged, you can go look at it and you can play back the videos that they've sent you, or the emails that they've written, or the comments they've made on social media. Anytime someone says something positive about what you're doing, they leave a comment on your blog, they share and say something cool, save it. Put it in a folder where when you're feeling discouraged or when you're thinking, okay, McDonald's is not that far away, that you can look at that and go, hey, no, because I love what I do and it matters to other people, not just me. So I'm going to keep doing this and I'm going to figure it out. That's something that I mentioned, Julia, you've probably seen the video that Adam Urbanski did about that he's got a binder
Yeah.
that he keeps all of those cards and things that people send him in, so that when he's feeling down, he can look through that and go, okay, actually this does matter, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to keep at it because of that. And so that's something that I also wish I had figured out sooner, because that is hugely re-energizing when you have those rough days to go, okay, you know what? This matters to other people, not just me, and I'm going to keep at it for that reason. So,
yeah, that's excellent. Excellent points. I would add one thing to that, and that's by this time in the interview series, people in the academy have figured out what their vision for their life is.
awesome.
And I know I created a vision board. So that's another thing that motivates you on days when you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know, it's because you have this big vision that you're moving toward. And if you give up now, you're not ever going to get there. And
Absolutely.
so that keeps me going. You know, in addition to being a profound service, well, part of my vision is being a profound service to the world with my big mission. But that's what keeps me going on days when I go like, oh, I'd rather just go back to bed and pull the covers over my head. And I still have days like that.
Yep.
You know, no matter how passionate I am and how much I love what I'm doing and I believe in it so strongly, but they're going to be days like that. And you have to accept that as part of doing business.
Absolutely. We all have those days. And I have one more.
Okay.
And then I'll stop with the lessons I wish I'd known. Another one that's hit me more so as I've started really stepping into helping other entrepreneurs in a different way is I find myself constantly reminding them of what I wish somebody reminded me of a few years back when I was getting started, which is never compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 15 or 20. Because it's easy to look around and go, but well, this person has all these things in place and they never send out an email with a typo in it, or they never put something on social media that they regret and wish they hadn't posted, or all of those little mistakes that we make, or those learning moments along the way. Don't compare where you're at right now with what you see from somebody else, because publicly what people at that level share is not always the reality. For one thing, it's filtered. You're not seeing their moments of breakdown, because I promise you, every 6 and 7 and 8 figure business owner that I've worked with has had private moments of meltdown more than you would believe, sometimes public moments of meltdown. And just because what you see at this moment looks like they're so much further ahead of you and it looks like they got it all figured out, they probably don't. And they've had all those years to figure it out. So remember where you're at. You're in chapter 1 or chapter 2, and you'll get there to where you're in chapter 20, but don't compare your chapter 2 to their chapter 20. Just look at comparing yourself to where you were yesterday, because as long as you continue every single day, do a little bit better, learn a little bit more, you'll get there. And that has been an important learning lesson for me, because I do tend to look at everybody else out there and be like, but they're so far ahead of me, and how did they figure it all out? And it's just, you just keep going, figure it out as you go, and you'll get there.
That's great advice. Really, really good advice. So before we end, I definitely want you to tell people where they can find you. And I want to add that I want everybody to get on Michelle's mailing list, so you know if she's got a new blog challenge coming up, because you will learn more from participating in her blog challenge than from anywhere else.
I appreciate that. The blog challenges are a blast to run, and they for me, they're a community creating tool, which is something that you want to do in whatever your business is figure out how do you get your community to come together and take action together, because when they do that, they'll start forming relationships and just really amazing things come out of it. But you guys can find me at michelleshaeffer.com. It's MICHELLESHAEFFER.com. Or you can go to extremetrafficadventure.com and find me there as well. And I would love if you would subscribe to my blog. I send out email pretty frequently, but always with the goal of helping you figure out how to get to the next thing that will work for you in your business to continue building it, to get especially more traffic. That's something that I share a lot around, and really just how to create what you've got in your mind and something even bigger than you might think is possible right now in your business, both for you and for your community who's waiting on you to do that, because you've got a message to share that comes from your story that nobody else has. And there are people waiting to hear that. So I'm excited about what Donovan and Julia have going on here. I wish I had more people to mentor me when I was you guys' age, because I did start my business that young, and it was very rocky. I had no clue what I was doing, and it helps a lot to have that support. So make sure that you engage in the program with them, that you reach out when you need help, because they're here to help you get to that vision faster so that you can make a difference both for you, for your family, and for the world. And that matters.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
It really was, yeah. And it matters. It really does matter what everybody does out there. So thanks for all that you've done to support young people out there making it happen.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to say hello and chat about blogging today for a few minutes.
Awesome.
That's very valuable to all of us. Thank you.